Hey, what's going on, y'all? Be Righteous from Identity. I haven't played Elden Ring in almost 2 years, and that's simply because I've done everything that I felt like I've wanted to do. I've beaten the game, and I've just been waiting patiently on the first new DLC from Software, ShadowOfTheErdtree. And this build's purpose is to prepare you for that. There are going to be new bosses, 8 new weapon classes, and tons of areas to explore, and I cannot wait. It's fast approaching. So I wanted to prepare you with a build that is insanely powerful so you can start strong. As you can see, I'm using the Reduvia dagger and the Eclipse Crest shield, which rivals the fingerprint stone shield. I'm going to tell you why. And I know a lot of you may think that the Rivers of Blood is a better weapon. Well, it automatically comes down to playstyle. And there are some things that I want to tell you about the Reduvia dagger that'll make you a believer if you're not already. So let's dive right in, because this build allows you to be formidable as a tank while retaining the agility and strength of a ninja. Let me first start out with the character stats. Now, if you didn't know already, all of these stats, vigor, mind, endurance, strength, dexterity, intelligence, faith, and arcane, all of them have soft caps of diminishing returns, which means that at a certain point, the higher you level up, the less effective these attributes are going to be. As you can see, I'm level 220. For a lot of people, this is the prime level you want to be at. The ideal level in order to have the amount of points that you need to distribute equally to create whatever build style you want. For mine, it's more of a melee tank build with dexterity. For others, it may be an intelligence mind build that focuses on magic and spell casting. But for builds like these, you want to have enough mind in order to have summons like the Mimic Tier and others that you have, because the mind gives you the exact amount that you need in order to activate that. If you don't have about 25 to 30, you won't be able to have summons. Other than that, you want pretty much 40 vigor, which after that will pretty much diminish your returns. It won't do you much good to have more than 40 vigor. Like I said, mind having about 25 to 30 will give you exactly what you need. You don't need a lot of intelligence and faith or anything that has to do with magic if you're running a build with melee. Then endurance, you're going to need this, because endurance is what allows you to retain the stamina that you need while you're blocking. Strength increases the damage of your weapons, and it also influences formidability of your blocking. So strength and endurance go hand in hand. Like when I was fighting Godfrey, he is relentless with his attacks. And it's almost like you can't attack while he's attacking, but you can sneak in a few attacks with the Reduvia, increase that blood loss buildup, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and just play patiently, like you always have to do in Souls like boss fights, because they can get infuriatingly frustrating. Like, I fought Godfrey, and he had a slither of health left. I killed him, but he killed me at the same time. Unsurprisingly, I did not get the reward for killing the boss, so I had to start all the way over. And these boss fights have 2 phases. Anyway, moving on. Now, dexterity goes hand in hand with arcane if you want to apply any sort of status effect effectively. Like I said, diminishing returns. Dexterity, when it's around 60, anything above that is going to diminish your returns, along with arcane. I did a test. See, the Reduvia dagger, let me show you. It has, as you can see, for its arc ability, it scales at a B, which is great. I'm talking about that arc that when you fire out the blood at the enemy from a distance. But you see where it says causes blood loss buildup, 90. The maximum of this I saw was 92. And this one I had an arcane that's 70. And I figured 2 points isn't that bad. I mean, I'm good with 90. 90 blood loss buildup is great for this weapon, because you can get that hemorrhage insanely fast, especially with how fast daggers attack. And with the dexterity and arcane, you're combining the speed of the blade with dexterity and the status effects, which causes the blood loss buildup, or whatever else you want to deal, poison, ice, whatever. So you want to have a high dexterity and high arcane, coupled with endurance and strength being high as well. This gives you the formidability of a tank with the speed of a ninja. You can block over and over again, and you'll see your stamina bar going up immediately. Even when your guard gets broken, you'll have enough time to block again if you time it right. So in between the enemies attacking you, you have to find out what's the best time to attack. And when you're at range, you can apply that ranged attack that the Reduvia does. Now, as you can see, I have both of these, the Rivers of Blood and Reduvia dagger, leveled up to a max. Plus 8, right? I don't know if they're going to increase that with the ShadowOfTheErdtree, but when they're both maxed, you see this has a blood loss buildup of 90. The Corpse Piler has a blood loss buildup of 74, and I think that might be almost a max for that. The point is that you can potentially deal more blood loss buildup with the Reduvia dagger instead of the corpse piler. And like I said, I don't like dual wielding these weapons. I need to have defense. If you are a dual wielder, then so be it. That's cool. But the Rivers of Blood is a great weapon. Only thing is, it being a katana, it attacks slower. And that's just the nature of the weapon type. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to preference, what you would like to use. Let me show you what I'm using for my talismans. The first one I'm using, since I'm using a great shield, I'm using a great shield talisman. It boosts your guard ability. This is what I was talking about when you're blocking, your stamina coming back, just the ability, everything surrounding your block, stamina, everything surrounding that, this increases that. Now you could increase that even more when you're fighting against like bosses that deal physical damage. This vastly boosts your physical damage negation. It's the Dragon Crest Shield Talisman, +2. But I like to use things that critical hits increase or restore. Like FP is what mine gives you. Critical hits restore this FP, so it allows me to use my Reduvia dagger's skill over and over. You know, the projectile that throws out the blood. The critical hits restore this little by little, and with daggers, critical hits are increased more. So I got another one called Assassin's Crimson Dagger. Critical hits restore HP. Now you know how important this is in boss fights and just in general. The Crimson Tears, sometimes you're not able to use that, and this comes in clutch. And finally, I have the Dagger Talisman. Of course, I need to use this. It enhances critical hits. So this build is surrounding critical hits and defense and the speed at which you attack along with the blood loss buildup. This build is crazy. Now, of course, I'm using Mimic Tear Ashes. This summons a Mimic Tear Spirit, which means that it summons the exact stats and attributes that you have. So basically, it gives you a twin of yourself. And if you want, you could switch the weapon and like apply ice or something like that. Like this is what I was doing. I had this weapon, the Cold Venomous Fang. I equipped this when I activated the Mimic Tears so that he can spawn with this weapon. It has the Hoarfrost Stomp for the Ashes of War, and it applies 105 frost buildup plus 66 poison buildup. Now you can couple this with the Kindreds of Rot's Exaltation. Poisoning or rot in the vicinity increases attack power, but some might argue that that's doing too much. So I just kept it simple, kept the bleed. I had the Reduvia dagger for both of us, and we were doubling up the bleed. So that's pretty much it for this build. I just wanted to show you a strong, formidable build that you can use to dominate when you start the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. This is the build that I think that I'm going to start out with. I think it's a pretty solid base. Let me know what you think about it down below in the comments section. And if this helped you out in any way, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Oh, and if you want to go into more detail about the Corpse Piler and the Reduvia, basically a comparison between the two, then click the video on the screen. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Be right out.